What's up? This is Giacomo Marchese. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the vegan police. You wind up seeing other vegans come down on non-vegans and vegans alike on what they eat, what they look like, and how they treat themselves, things that they use, and also what they wear. These types of people exist, and these types of concepts have played out for years in the vegan community. The problem with calling others out on not being the super vegan is when you draw a line like that in the sand, you wind up making other people feel judged. Veganism inherently, right? It's a matter of choice. You're choosing to live your life in a way that is morally appropriate and ethically appropriate for you, to do as little harm as possible to the world around you and to be a compassionate person towards all sentient beings. You can leave less of an impact on the world around you by living a certain way. You can also make sure that you don't discourage others from making that switch and living in a way that is more vegan friendly by not being that person. You don't want to be that person, for example, that says, okay, well, sprinkles have shellac, rainbow sprinkles or chocolate sprinkles or whatever. Jimmy's, we call them over here in New England. They're coated on the outside with shellac, which is a juice that comes from a beetle. In the past, I've literally seen a vegan restaurant almost got completely shut down. Like, they were so under fire by everyone out with their picket signs saying, I'm not gonna eat at your restaurant. How dare you call this ice cream vegan if you're putting sprinkles on it that are not actually vegan? Like, that's bug juice, that's disgusting. I'm not gonna eat there. I get the point. There are actual sprinkles in this example that are vegan, but to come down on something like that, to shame a restaurant that is serving dairy-free vegan ice cream because their sprinkles are not 100, you know what I mean? Like, the idea is to live as compassionately as possible and to do less harm. You can't do no harm. It's just not possible. Just by existing, you're going to take from this earth, and in one way or another, you're going to put a strain on other sentient beings, another species. Like, there's no perfect way to be. White sugar is filtered through animal bone. That's how it turns white. So are you supposed to just not ever consume white sugar for the rest of your life, or you're not considered vegan? Do you want to feel judged by someone else that is like, I would never eat at a restaurant that prepares food with white sugar, and I certainly don't want that in my house? Listen, if that's the way you want to live, if you feel comfortable like that, that's fine. Will you make choices like that 100% of the time for the rest of your life? Probably not. Why would you want to judge someone else and make them feel like being vegan is some sort of exclusionary thing or it's something where if you're vegan, you have an air of moral superiority, you think you're better than other people? That's not helping people. When you're policing like that, people actually wind up being closed off to making changes. Or for another example, all medication over here in the United States, for example, needs to be tested on animals in order to be approved. It's terrible, right? Like, do you want to support vivisection? Do you want to test on animals? Like, obviously not. But at one point or another, all medication was tested on animals. Take ibuprofen, for example. Are you not going to use NSAIDs because it was tested on an animal at one point in time? Or if a life-saving medication or something you desperately needed had a milk derivative in it, would you be like, oh no, this is not for me, I can't take that? You know, and are you making this decision because you are afraid of being shamed by others in your community? There's 3D printed food out now. There's lab-grown food that is essentially, these are animal-based products. Now, I personally would not consume stuff like that on a regular basis. I don't think it's good for your health, but there's nothing morally wrong with it, and it's more environmentally friendly. Yes, the process originated from animals, but the animals are so far removed from the process that, you know, one might even argue that these things are vegan. And I'm not sitting here trying to get into a debate. It's just a matter of making sure that we are more inclusive and less judgmental towards others. All right, let's move on to clothing. So here's another example, right? I have a jacket that my grandfather, who's no longer here, passed down to me. It's a wool jacket. I'm gonna wear it. Used clothing, for example, you might get it at a secondhand shop or a thrift shop or whatever. Boots that were made from leather, but they're being reused. Does it make more sense to wear them or to destroy them and cause more harm to the environment because you wanted to buy something new that was made out of man-made materials? You could easily see how if you were wearing leather, someone else might look at you if they were the vegan police or part of that crew, and they'd be like, this person's not vegan, like, what are they doing? Or you might even say something to them if you had that kind of idea in mind. So let's talk about how people look. You don't want to be shamed for how you take care of yourself when you cause as little harm to the environment as possible and you're making compassionate choices all the time, right? You wind up finding people who want to come down on others because they're not choosing what they feel is the healthiest way to eat or the healthiest way to live or the healthiest body to be in, and then all of a sudden they're not vegan or they're hurting the environment. Not true. Again, veganism is about doing as little harm as possible and being a compassionate human, right? Another thing when it comes to bodies, right? Hey, everybody's in a different place, right? Maybe someone's looking to be powerful and they're on a bulk, for example, and their body shape is different for whatever the reason, and they're an athlete. Should that person be humiliated or feel embarrassed or judged because they're being judged by others because they're like, oh, listen, you're hurting the movement? Yet another example of how being part of the vegan police can actually do more harm than good. So there are certain things that we just do not have vegan replacements for. Are we going to recommend that there should be no vegan tennis players because tennis balls are made out of wool? Or there shouldn't be any vegan violinists? So you're going to investigate every single tire that you buy because tires are made with glue that came from animal casein, from cow milk, for example? Like all these kinds of things. Or you're not going to buy a used car and insist on buying a brand new car because you want leather-free seats, and the used car that has leather seats, it's in your price range and it's available. You're doing less harm to the environment. It was already created. The point here, the point that I want to drive home, is that it doesn't help anyone when you are trying to make choices that you feel good about for yourself, and you wind up having a hard time making those choices because you're feeling judged by others, and you're judging others because you're trying to be the super vegan, for example, right? If you want to live off the grid, if you have the ability to live under a rock, if that's the way you want to live your life, like, hey, cool. No harm, no foul, right? For most of us, though, that's not how we live, right? And you can do more harm than good being in the world that we live in here, on the grid, helping others, right? Just doing your thing day to day and showing others like, hey, this is a very inclusive club. There's all kinds of choices here that are in a gray area where it just makes sense to make the best choice that you can with the options that you have available, and always look towards making choices that are more vegan friendly. Has the vegan police ever attacked you? Have you ever felt like this? Keep this conversation going in the comments below. Like, subscribe, let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll talk to you soon.